been really fortunate to make some great friends all over the world through the work that I do online and of course through all of the events that I attend. But today's topic, I would like to talk about local friends, real friends, friends in your real life. And that's not to say that I don't consider my online friends, especially the ones that I get to see in person several times a year, real friends or part of my real life. But I'm talking more about the local peer circle. So that includes family, neighbors, close friends, people you play cards with, people who aren't necessarily related to your work circle in any way whatsoever, just friends. Having moved so much all of my life, literally, I never lived anywhere more than 2 years until I moved here, I think close to 8 years ago. And I've actually moved 3 times since I've been here in this area. But this is the longest I've lived in any one place. And I find that it can be really hard at my age, as an adult, it can be really hard to make friends in a new area, especially if it's a small town in Tennessee. Not so much if you go into a big city or into a college town where nobody's from there and everybody's from somewhere else and looking for things to do and there's lots going on. But living in a small town in Tennessee where everyone is from here, everyone is related to each other or knows of each other or is somehow connected to each other, it's a lot harder to kind of get into a good peer circle. It's a lot harder to make those really close friends. I haven't been overly proactive about making local friends actually because I travel all over the world and I have good friends in different places and I am sort of introverted and I do really enjoy my time to myself, and so I haven't really gone all out as far as making local friends because I like my me time. I don't necessarily want people knocking on the door every other day to stop by for a coffee or calling me on the phone all the time or what have you. That doesn't really make me antisocial. I just really appreciate my me time and really like the quiet time that I have to write and to work and to focus on raising my children. That said, it does get a little bit lonesome sometimes. I bought my home and moved into this house 4 years ago February. And since I've been here, I have made an effort to greet new neighbors, to say hello, to make sure that I know who they are and speak to them and things like that. Unfortunately, all of my neighbors are exactly like me. We all keep to ourselves, we all do our own thing, whatever. So I haven't necessarily made any good friends on my street, although I did make an effort, so yay for me, right? And that's all fine and good, until I feel lonesome. So earlier today, I was thinking about my 3 closest friends. Who are my 3 closest friends? Who would I consider the 3 people I'm closest to in my life? The first thing that comes to mind, of course, is my daughter and my son, but I can't really count them because they're my children. But at the ages they are, going on 16 and 21, we do talk to each other, we're there for each other, and they're really the closest thing to true friendship that I've had in my life for a really long time. However, there's still that line drawn, I'm the parent, they're the children, although my daughter would argue that she's the parent in this relationship. But my children aside, the 3 people that I'm closest to would be my mother, who I can call anytime about anything, the man that I'm dating, who is a great listener, very objective, compassionate, and fun to hang out with, and the third would be my reflexologist, Dr. Roan. And while I pay her $1 a minute, I still consider her a friend. I really look forward to my appointments. I was going every week on Wednesday, but now I go every other week. She has a degree in psychology, so in addition to the wonderful things that she does to my feet, whatever in the world reflexology really is, she does wonderful things. But in addition to that, I talk to her, and I find it to be incredibly helpful. Just to have someone who's completely disconnected from my world, who's objective about everything because they have no horse in the race, to just sit and talk to for a good 45 minutes, every week, now every other week, which is really nice. So those would be the 3 people that I would consider friends in my local life, in my real life, outside of my work circle. I would be interested to hear your thoughts. I was actually reading a Facebook update, and it's been a while back, maybe a month or more ago, and I want to say it was Jason Moffat, and he asked, are you close with your neighbors or do you keep to yourself? The answers were just across the board. Some people live in areas where the neighbors all get together and have block parties and they do things for each other and have coffee and things like that. Other people lived in areas more like mine where everybody kind of keeps to themselves and nobody really knows who's who and that sort of thing. So what's it like where you are? Do you live in the place where you were born and grew up, or have you moved around a lot? Do you find it harder to make friends as an adult than you did as a kid? I do. I mean, obviously, when you're a kid, it's like no big deal. Everybody's like, hey, let's go play. Or there's lots of opportunities. There's social groups for kids, there's sports and after school activities and all kinds of different things like that. But when you're my age, and especially when you're single, it's a lot harder to make friends. And I'm not talking about just meeting people and making acquaintances. I'm talking about meeting those special people in your life that you can really call a best friend, or that you can count on, or that you can call, period. And you know what? Friendship is an investment. It takes time. It's like anything else. You have to get to know each other, a certain amount of trust is built, you become closer over time, that sort of thing. So it's a huge investment. And you truly do have to be proactive if you want to make really good, really close friends as an adult. So do you keep up with your childhood friends? Do you have a best friend that you've been friends with since you were a kid? Or have you lost contact with people you knew along the way? I'd really be curious to hear from some of you. I know that we're all different. And sometimes I really love the life that I've created, especially just being in this quiet little town with all the traveling I do and with all the excitement in my life and with the fulfillment of my career and my children. It's actually nice to come home to a quiet place and just have a space to be me and to relax and have a lot of downtime. On the other hand, I do miss having really close friends. I miss playing cards more than anything. I miss having a local social group. So if you have one, how did you find them? Did it start a long time ago? Were you the one that put it together? Did it just kind of happen by chance? Or did it take a lot of work on your part? I'm really curious to know what kind of social group or peer group that you have locally in your area that's totally disconnected from your work. Of course, as much time as we all spend on work as adults, our careers really take up a lot of time and space in our lives. So probably the majority of our acquaintances and the people we meet, maybe even some of the friends that we make, are going to be made through our work. And I think that's okay. Like I said, some of the best friends that I have live all over the world, and I talk to them via Skype, I talk to them via email. We keep in touch that way, and we see each other a few times a year. And that's great too. Those are wonderful friendships I wouldn't trade for anything. But on a local level, let's talk social groups. Do you have friends that you hang out with? Do you wish you had friends that you could hang out with? Or what's your situation?